Hello friends, welcome to WowIS. This is the part 8th of the June 2023 current affairs. In this we are going to cover the international relations part 1. And we are doing this in our initiative that is Vision Monthly Magazine Script Summaries. And we are providing these summaries at 599 rupees only. The video lectures are free for all, but to avail the PDF you need to enroll in the course. So please quickly enroll in the course and get the PDF of this video. Now let's start with the first topic, that is international relations. The first topic here is India-US relationships. Recently, Prime Minister Modi has visited the US. Now this has been in news. That's why we are discussing this. If we talk about India-US relations, the bilateral trade for last year 2022-23 was $128.55 billion. That is, it has increased 7.5% over the last year. Total exports, the India is the largest export destination for US and is a major export hub for the Indian goods. Secondly, India is the third largest defense supplier of US is the third largest defense supplier to India, and India's third largest defense supplier after Russia and France. $28 billion trade surplus India maintains with US. That means India imports less and exports more to the US. Now, for the defense ties, US has recognized India as a major defense partner in 2016 itself. Then we had a defense agreements with the US also, which includes Limoa in 2016, then COMCASA in 2018, then Industrial Security Agreement in 2019, then BECA in 2020. Now, some bilateral military exercises include Yudh Abhyas, Vraj Prahar, Malabar exercise, RIMPAC, etc. Next is people-to-people ties. The Indian diaspora is very vibrant in US. Around 4.9 million Indians reside in US. That is 49 lakh Indians are residing US. It is the second largest immigration hub in US after Mexico. So India is the second largest immigration hub for the US. Now, what are India's strategic partnership with US? This is a list given there: critical minerals, defense technology, telecommunication, quantum technology, health, education, space, civil nuclear, civil energy, then counterterrorism, Indo-Pacific security, critical emerging technologies, trade and economy. So these are the areas where India and US can be partners. Next is key outcomes of the visit. An intra-agency-led strategic trade dialogue was launched to undertake the efforts to address export controls and facilitate technology transfer between the two countries. So this has been in the trade. Second is semiconductors. MOU has been signed for the supply chain innovation partnership for the semiconductors. Third one is telecommunications. A public-private joint task force co-led by India's Bharat 6G and US Next G alliance for the development and deployment of the Open Radio Access Network or Open RAN system was launched. For the quantum tech, Indo-US Quantum Coordination Mechanism has been established, and it facilitates the industry, academia and government. You know these things. Next is it worked towards achieving a comprehensive quantum information science and technology. That will be the objective of this coordination mechanism. Next one is innovation and research, or research and innovation. Now, a new initiative which can be asked is Innovation Handshake was started, and its objective was to connect the startup ecosystem of the two countries so that the startups can communicate with each other and they can learn from each other. Then US India initiative on critical and emerging technologies is also supported by it. This ICET was set up in January 2023. Yeah, that means this year only. And its objective was to strengthen and broaden the defense industrial cooperation and strategic technological partnership between the two countries, or between the companies and the academic institutions of the two nations. It is headed by National Security Council Secretariat in India and US National Security Council in USA. Next collaborative area is clean energy partnership. Now, Indo-US New and Emerging Renewable Energy Technologies Action Platform has been launched for accelerated cooperation in green hydrogen, offshore and onshore winds. Next is critical minerals. India has become the new member of the US-led Mineral Security Partnership. This is important, MSP, Mineral Security Partnership, which aims to ensure supply of critical minerals. Next is collaboration in education. A joint task force has been set up with the name of Association of American Universities and Indian Education Institutions for collaborating in the education system. The Indo-US Global Challenge Institutions was established for deeper research partnership between the institutions of the two countries. Now for the visa, US has mentioned that it would launch a pilot run to adjudicate the domestic renewal of certain petition-based temporary work visas in 2023, including Indian nationals. So this is a good news for India. Next, US also highlighted its intent to implement the domestic renewal of a pool of H-1B and L visa holders in 2024. For the consulates, US will open two new consulates in India in Bengaluru and Ahmedabad. That's the good news for India. And India will operationalize its new consulate in the Seattle and open two more consulates in the US soon. Next is India-US defense relations. An agreement to co-produce the GE F414 jet engines was signed between the General Electronics and the Hindustan Aeronautical Limited. So you need to remember this name. Second is India will procure 31 high altitude, long endurance unmanned aerial vehicles, which are known as HAIL, named General Atomics MQ-9B drones from the US. Now, the India-US Defense Acceleration Ecosystem, or INDUS-X, was also launched. Now, something about GE414 jet engine. It is a turbofan engine produced by GE and has been used in US Navy for more than 30 years. That means it is a well-tested engine. Next, 8 nations have F414 powered jets in operation and is used in superior jets like Boeing Super Hornet and EA-18G Global. MQ-9B drones. It has two variants, the Sky Guardian and the Sea Guardian. It can fly up to 40 hours and is an all-weather type of drone. It can reach a maximum speed of 388 kilometers per hour and the flying range is 11,102 kilometers. That is too much. That means it is a very long range drone. Next is INDUS-X. The US Department of Defense and the Indian Ministry of Defense have launched the INDUS-X. It aims to expand the strategic technology partnership and defense institutional cooperation between the two governments, businesses, and academic institutions. Next is significance of the deal for India. It will boost India. It will be boost to the Indian fleet. The deal will allow HOL to manufacture GE414 engine for the indigenous light compact aircraft LCA Tejas MQ2. So we will be able to use these engines in the Tejas aircraft also. LCA Tejas currently uses GE404 engines procured from the same company. So it will be a mechanism of technology transfer also. India will also learn from there. Then it will also allow for future indigenous developments. Next, it will help us understand the drone technology also. The establishment of the comprehensive global maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility in India for the drones will support India's indigenous drone capabilities. It will also boost our local defense industries and reduce the cost. The cost will also be reduced. Next is what are the challenges in the defense cooperation. First of all, India's ties with Russia. Russia remains the largest defense supplier to India with 45.1% share. And India has not condemned Russia's aggression in Ukraine. So these two factors have actually irked the US, or the US is not happy with India over these two things. Second, India's stand on joining alliances. So India has rejected the NATO plus arrangement offered by the US. So that is also one of the point that is not going well with the US. Third is technology transfer. The US defense companies are reluctant to transfer the technology. So this is a point which India is not very happy about. Then another point which India is irritated with is the US funding to Pakistan is still continuing, and US is also getting spares for its F-16 fleet. Now has been an inconsistency in US stand also. In past, US has helped both Pakistan and China, and its stand has changed since 9/11 attacks. But it still continues to sell arms to Pakistan. So this is somewhat confusing for India also, which side the US is, and how in future which side the US is going to take. Now next is India-US space relations. So we talk about this also. So now NASA will provide advanced training to Indian astronauts with the goal of mounting a joint effort to International Space Station in 2024. India signed the US-led Artemis Accord as the 27th member, which aims to establish a common vision via a set of principles, guidelines, and best practices to enhance the governance of the civil exploration and the use of outer space. Now, what is the significance? It will push our Gaganyaan mission. Then India will have entry in the ISS, or International Space Station. Thirdly, entry to the Gateway. Gateway is the upcoming NASA-led International Lunar Orbital Station for Artemis astronauts. Also, it will enhance the capabilities of ISRO. Now, what are the countries which are in the Artemis Accord? So there are 27 countries, and you can just note down their names: Singapore, Bahrain, India, Israel, Korea, UAE, Japan, Saudi Arabia, then Nigeria, Rwanda, North America, Canada, US, State of America, United States of America, Mexico, then South America, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, France, Spain, Poland, Ukraine, Italy, Romania, United Kingdom, Czech Republic, Luxembourg. Then you have Australia, New Zealand. So these are the countries which are the part of the Artemis Accord. So you should know what is the Artemis Accord. So it is for the space exploration. Next is India-US digital trade relations. So computer and computer communication industrial technology of US has highlighted digital trade barriers with India and flagged India as a protectionist approach. So India has been flagged as a protectionist country with respect to the IT communication. Now, what is the status of India-US digital trade? The bilateral trade stands at $128.55 billion between India and US, and the digital service or technology services does not emerge as a major factor. US has a 27 billion deficit in trade in digital services with India as of 2020. The two countries are improving their tech partnership by certain initiatives known as first is ICET, Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies. Then under this initiative, both countries will cooperate on critical and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, wireless communication, etc. US India Science and Technology Endowment Fund was also set up with the $2 billion was allocated for this joint development and commercialization of AI and quantum technologies. Next is what are the concerns? First of all, India's protectionist policy has been criticized by the US. Second, preferential treatment to Indian companies. They accuse that Indian government over preferential treatment to local companies. India government gives preferential treatment to local companies and acting against the foreign companies in the India. Third is greater government censorship. There has been instances of increasing censorship and control over political speech and state institutions. Next is complicated tax structure by equalization levy. Equalization levy of 2% earlier it was 6% charged on the gross revenue received by the non-resident e-commerce operators amounts to double taxation and further complicated the taxation framework. Next is India-Nepal. Both countries vowed to resolve the vexed boundary dispute under the spirit of friendship. Inauguration of the twin integrated checkpost Irupai Dila in India and Nepal Ganj in Nepal. Then various MOUs were also signed. For example, Dodra Chandni checkpost along India-Nepal border. Then development of Fukot Karnali hydroelectric project. Then cross-border payments. Then second cross-border petroleum pipeline between Siliguri and Japa in Nepal. Then extension of Motihari Amlekganj pipeline to Chitwan. Then power sector, India agreed to the first trilateral power trade from Nepal to Bangladesh through India for up to 40 megawatts of power. Then treaty in transit, revised treaty of transit that would provide Nepal access to inland waterways in India. Then hydropower corporation project development agreement of the Lower Arun hydroelectric project. Then what about connectivity? Line of credit of 680 million by India to fund the three major transmission corridors in Nepal: Behri corridor, Nijgarh corridor, Inarua corridor, then Gandak Nepalganj corridor. India will fund two additional bridges across the Mahakali River in Nepal. Then inaugural run of the cross-border freight rail operations between Bhatnaha and Nepal Custom Yard on the Jogbani Bhitnagar rail link. Next is handing over the Kurtha Bijalpura rail station of the Jayanagar Kurtha Pass passenger rail link to the Nepal. So these things have been done. Next is India-Nepal overview. So we have a border of 1850 kilometers and 5 Indian states touch the Nepal border. There has been an India-Nepal Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1950 which has been governing the relations between India and Nepal since then. The Nepal citizens can avail facilities and opportunities on par with the Indian citizens in accordance with the provisions of the treaty. What is the importance of Nepal for India? Location of Nepal. It acts as a buffer between India and China. Secondly, India's internal security. The harmonious relation between the two countries is necessary to curb terrorism and Maoism. Next, security of India aided development projects such as cross-border railways, Pancheshwar multi-purpose project, bridges over Mahakali River, etc. Then flood water management and development of the hydropower. Then people-to-people connect and empowerment of Madhesis, which are residents of the Terai region or in the foothills of the Himalayas to avoid political spillovers in India. Now, where has been the major areas of engagement between India and Nepal? First is economic cooperation. India is the largest trading partner as well as highest source of FDI to the Nepal. Second is connectivity and development partnership. India has been assisting Nepal in development of the border infrastructure through upgradation of road and cross-border rail links. Thirdly, multilateral cooperation such as BBIN, BIMSTEC, SARC, non-line movement. So India has supported Nepal, or India and Nepal have been partners in these initiatives, in this international cooperative cooperations. Then defense cooperation. India is assist in modernizing Nepal's army through equipment supply and training, recruitment of the Nepal soldiers in Gorkha regiment of the Indian Army, joint military exercises and disaster assistance. Then energy cooperation. India and Nepal have a power exchange agreement since 1971 for meeting the power requirements of the border areas. Next, South Asia's first cross-border petroleum products pipeline, constructed and funded by the Indian Oil Corporation Limited, connecting Motihari in India to Amlekhganj in Nepal, was inaugurated in 2019. Next, in hydropower cooperation, India and Nepal recently signed an MOU to develop the West Seti and Seti River SR6 projects, and also agreed to take forward the Saptkoshi High Dam project on Koshi River. Then West Seti River is a tributary of Karnali River, and other projects include Mahakali Treaty 6480 megawatts, then Upper Karnali project of 900 megawatts, then Arun 3 project of 900 megawatts. Culture. Swami Vivekananda Center for Indian Culture was set up in Kathmandu to showcase the best of the Indian culture. India International Center for Buddhist Culture and Heritage was inaugurated in Lumbini, Nepal. The next is major issues in India-Nepal relation. First is border disputes. The ties between the two countries came under severe strain after Kathmandu published a new political map in 2020 that showed three Indian territories, Limpiadura, Kalapani and Lipule, as a part of Nepal. What is China's influence? China has increased the economic engagement with Nepal through projects under its Belt and Road Initiative. Next is there have been concerns over Chinese interference in Nepal politics also. Then there has been a trust gap because India's slow pace of project implementation and alleged perception of India's interference in Nepal politics. Then next is security issues. The porous border facilitates arms smuggling and other illegal activities like terrorist counterfeits of Indian currency, etc. Next is Gorkha issues. With the advent of the Agnipath scheme, the Nepalese government has been saying that it has violated the 1947 tripartite agreement between the two countries and the UK. So Nepal is not very much happy with the Agnipath scheme. Next is Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1950. India's lackadaisical approach for Nepal's request to revise the 1950 Friendship Treaty is an irritant in the relations also. So this is Kalapani, Lipule and Limpin Dura. This is a disputed site. Next is emphasizing what can be the way forward. First of all, we should emphasize on digital connectivity initiatives like e-governance, cross-border digital collaboration, connectivity, create economic opportunities and strengthen the bilateral relations. The bilateral mechanisms are needed to discuss the contentious issues such as border disputes. Boundary dispute resolution between India and Bangladesh can serve as a model. Then sustained engagement and limited interference by India in Nepal's politics. This is demanded by the Nepalese government. Then enhancement of the air connectivity between the two countries. Then organizing joint cultural events, film festivals and wellness retreats to showcase India's rich heritage to influence the public opinion. Next is China's rising influence in the Central Asia. China hosted the C+C5 summit in the city of Zai. It is first of its kind, and the leaders of the five Central Asian countries attended it. So a Zion declaration was signed and a blueprint was issued for the future development of China-Central Asia relationship. The first C+C5 summit was held in the virtual format last year to commemorate the 30 years of diplomatic relations between China and the Central Asian countries. The Central Asian countries include Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. These are the five Central Asian countries. Now, what is the implications of this rising influence of China over the Central Asia? First of all, geopolitical competition. China's presence and leverage in this region will impact India's strategic interest and limits its influence in the region. Secondly, there will be an economic competition for the India because Central Asia is the largest trading partner of India, while combined trade with the Central Asia already is around $2 billion, and China has a trade of $32 billion. So India is very far away from that of China. Second is connectivity and infrastructure. The Chinese BRI, which includes the projects of China, which includes projects like China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, could affect India's effort to enhance its own connectivity in Central Asia. Secondly, China influence may affect India's ability to foster closer ties with these countries through initiatives like International North-South Transport Corridor. Next is security concern. The growing Chinese presence may impact regional security dynamics and influence the balance of power in the immediate neighbor. Next is energy security. Growing China's influence might hinder India's prospects for securing energy from the region. For example, Kazakhstan is the largest producer of uranium, and Turkmenistan has huge reserves of natural gas. Next is improving connectivity. Through renovation of Chahabahar Port and faster development of INSTC, and becoming a member of the Ashgabat Agreement and Tapi pipeline. Next is Connect Central Asia Policy 2012. So this framework, this broad-based framework involving political, economic, security, cultural connections should be implemented in proper manner. India also recently hosted the first India Central Asia Summit. Next is Commitment to Extended Neighborhood Policy ENP. It calls to diversify India's geopolitical partners and diplomatic goals, and its willingness to engage its Central Asian partners on a multitude of fronts. Next is bilateral engagements. India signed the Strategic Partnership Agreement with the Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, and Civil Nuclear Agreement with the Kazakhstan. India's International Technical and Economic Cooperation ITEC program attracts youth professionals for the capacity building. Next, multilateral organizations, platform like SCO and Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in India, CICA have helped India to maintain regular channels of communication with the CARs. Then developmental assistance, the $1 billion line of credit announced by India is aimed at high impact development for socio-economic development of the region. Now, what are the challenges of India in the Central Asian region? First of all is the poor connectivity. India does not share physical borders, so it lacks the proper connectivity with the Central Asia. Next is there are limited resources with India, for especially the financial resources, which limits its active ability to actively engage with Central Asian countries simultaneously. Next is regional conflicts, political instability, and security concerns in Central Asian countries such as narco-terrorism and regional conflicts can impact India's engagement. Next is role of India's defense cooperation initiative in meeting foreign policy goals. India gifted the indigenously built in-service missile corvette INS Kirpan to Vietnam. The Defense Procurement, Production and Export Promotion Policy 2020 released by Ministry of Defense targets an increase in the export of aerospace and defense goods and services. This type of defense cooperation is termed as defense diplomacy. It means establishing cooperation in strategic arenas and facilitating a collective strategy of armed forces to advance the mutual interest. Disaster management and humanitarian relief, for example, launched Operation Dost to help earthquake hit Turkey and Syria. By this, India seeks to forward its policy goals. Now, next is India's foreign policy important goals क्या हैं? What are the important goals? To engage and protect Indian diaspora. Secondly, to ensure that Indian voice is heard on global forums and that India can influence world opinion. Thirdly, to protect India from traditional and non-traditional threats, and to create an external environment conducive to India's inclusive development. Next is linkage between defense cooperation and foreign policy. First is security and stability. India's cooperation plays a crucial role in achieving security and stability, which are vital objectives of the foreign policy. Next is globalization. The scope of international trade, finance, and communication is influenced by the external factors like cryptocurrency, shell companies, etc., beyond the control of the national government. Third is terrorism. It has emerged as one of the primary threats to domestic and international security and ushered in a greater convergence in the security perceptions among the nations. Next is role of training services. A number of senior officers of the three services, past and present, in many developing countries have been trained in India. Next, power politics. The international stature and role of country in the international system has positive correlation with its military strength also. Next is benefits of defense cooperation to foreign policy goals. Enhancement of the regional stability, strengthening relations, then capacity building of the armed forces. For example, we get exposure to technology, then there are various doctrines, concepts, and working ethos of the countries with a wide spectrum of technology sharing combat experience. Next is boost to Indian industry also. Then research and development. Defense cooperation activities have improved prospects in the field of research and technology by transfer of technology and joint development of the projects. Then confidence building development cooperation activities signal a political commitment to develop cooperative relations, promote military transparency, reduce misperceptions, and common interest. Next is 75 years of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Human Rights 75 initiative will culminate in December 2023, marking 75th anniversary of the UNHDR. The theme was dignity, freedom, and justice for all. Objective of the Human Rights 75 initiative to contribute a change and concrete progress on the grounds of on the promise of the freedom, equality, and justice and accountability. There were three goals of the Human Rights 75 initiative. First is promoting universality and individuality, indivisibility. Second, learning to the future. Third is bolstering the human rights ecosystem. Some of the rights under the declaration are all human rights are born free and equal in dignity and rights. There shall no one shall be held in slavery and servitude. No one shall be tortured. There will be equality before the law. No arbitrary arrest, no arbitrary detention or exile. Then economic, social, and cultural rights should be there. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy. Next is human rights and UNHDR. The United Nations Universal Declaration on Human Rights adopted a UN General Assembly in 1948 with the first legal document to set up the fundamental human rights to be universally protected. It is not legally binding. It outlines 30 rights and freedoms that belong to all. Now, there are two covenants also, the International Covenant for Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant for Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And these make up the International Bill of the Rights. What is the significance of UNHDR? First of all, strengthening the human rights. Second is strengthening the citizens also, because it provides a foundation for just and decent future for all and has given people a powerful tool in the fight against oppression, impunity, and affronts to human dignity. Next is universal recognition also. Two, it promises all people economic, social, political, cultural, and civil rights that underpin a life free from wants and fear. Challenges to human rights. According to UNDP's Human Development Report 2023, 1.1 billion out of 6.1 billion people live in acute multi-dimensional poverty across 110 countries. Second is climate change. At least 8.7 million people in 88 countries were living in internal displacement as a result of the disaster that happened not only in 2022 but also in previous years. So there has been a lot of internal displacement also. Third, wars, conflicts, and terrorism. Ukraine war and other conflicts have pushed a number of people fleeing to more than 100 million for the first time on record. Then the issue of food security. Right to food is a human right. More than 345 million people face high levels of food insecurity in this 2023 year. This number has doubled than that of the 2020. The next is women rights. World Economic Forum's Global Gender Report 2020 says that it will take 32 years to reach gender parity. Next is racial, ethnic, and religious hatred. There has been global rise in hatred being directed at members of the racial, ethnic, and religious groups, foreigners, and other minorities. Then LGBTQ plus rights. Discrimination and violence against people in LGBT plus community are all too common. Homophobic and transphobic attitudes remain deeply embedded in many cultures around the world. Next is violence by authoritarian regimes. Examples include executions and arrest in the Iran, military coup in the Myanmar, rolling back of human rights by the Taliban. Then, what are the related news? June 2023 marks the 30th anniversary of the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action. About VDPA, it is a human rights declaration adopted by consensus at the World Conference on Human Rights in 1993 in Vienna, Austria. It paved the way for the common plan for the strengthening of human rights work as well as establishment of the Office of the High Commissioner of the Human Rights. So it happened in 1993. It affirmed universality, individuality, and interdependency of the human rights. Next, the declaration affirms the principle of the UDHR. Next is mechanism to protect and promote human rights. First is, well, there are major conventions there, that is Convention on Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide 1948, Convention on the Rights of the Child 1989, then Convention on the Rights of the Persons with Disabilities 2006, 1951 Refugee Convention and its 1967 Protocol. Next is Human Rights Council. It is tasked with the strengthening the promotion and protection of the human rights around the globe. Human rights and the UN system. Human rights is a cross-cutting theme in all UN policies and programs. For example, are the SDGs. UN peacekeeping. UN peacekeepers provide security and the political and peace-building support to help countries make the difficult early transition from conflicts to peace. The responsibility to protect. It is an international norm that seeks to ensure that the international community never fails to halt the mass atrocity, crimes of genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. National Human Rights Institutions NHRIs, for example, National Human Rights Commission of the India. So with this, we end the today's session. From tomorrow, we are going to complete this international relations part 2. We will start with the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization or UNESCO. So thank you very much and have a very nice day and keep working hard. You will surely succeed. Thank you very much. Signing off.